Three, two, one, go.
All right, welcome to Hardly Adults.
Hey, everybody.
We've got some crazy topics to talk about today. The basis for all of them is going to be around something we mentioned in the last podcast, which is the technological singularity. It's something that I've turned Chris on to, and holy shit, is this groundbreaking. Uh,
It's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to talk about it. There is so much to talk about it and so much to cover. This is probably going to be a multiple part podcast.
I just don't think we could cover everything in one podcast, especially with our own dumbass bullshit and in between and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So, number one, let's just start out with what is the technological singularity?
Well, what is it, Mike?
The base idea for it is the speed of technology increasing so quick that it eventually reaches a point of singularity where
Is that just like
technology
everything is connected? Is that what that means?
not really. It's actually that technology increases so fast that there's no discernible space between breakthroughs. So
So it's like everything is just. Well, there has to be an end, right?
you would think, but we don't know, and that's actually a big point of controversy as to whether or not we'll be able to reach a point. So basically, as things are progressing, one of the things that we can see, and the reason that this is even thought of as a theory, is, well, probably the best way to explain it would be through the circuit board thing. There's a video out. Peter Diamandis, Diamandis. He has a video, and actually, we'll put that in the Facebook page after this podcast, so everybody can watch it. He gives a better explanation of all the things that we're going to talk about, and has lots of charts and graphs.
Especially, yeah.
Something you should definitely check out. But in the circuit boards, I believe it started out in like 1956 was when the first
No, it was in the 40s. It was 40
when they did the two transistor they did a two transistor circuit board.
And there was a half inch in between.
Yeah, half inch separation between the transistors, and now
There's billions.
well, yeah, it's crazy because it went in 20 years, it increased to like 2,300 transistors.
Which sounds
Doesn't
like a
seem-
lot. It sounds like a lot saying it, but that is nothing.
Yeah, because and that was in 1971. Then from 1971 to 2018, it increased to, what was it, 18 billion transistors on one circuit board?
Yeah.
It
and
was
there's
some ridiculous
14 nanometers in between each one.
It went from, so in 1956, it was the half-inch separation. Then it became like 23,000 nanometer separation, and then it decreased all the way to a 14 nanometer separation, which is absolutely groundbreaking. And when you plot it on a chart, you can see the bell curve of this increase in technology, and the thought is that eventually it will reach a point where it's increasing so fast that there is no separation between.
So we're talking like Terminator, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean,
Artificial intelligence. So like the machines are going to take over, right? Is there going to be a place in the world left for humans?
well, that's always a big discussion with that, because then
Is
comes
AI
in
moral?
AI. Yeah, you don't. Well, that's one of the things that I don't know. AI is.
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, right. AI is Arnold Schwarzenegger. That would actually be really cool if they end up making the Governator someone who he's like the first AI human crossbreed. Like that would be so badass. No, so well with AI, the the possibilities are just so limitless as far as we know. We're looking at things, and they're AIs are becoming so popular. Every
Well,
country is trying to come up with their own in this race.
it kind of the whole thing bases around that, like, technology and ideas and knowledge all build off of previous technology and ideas, right? So you
Oh
learn
yeah.
one thing and you're able to learn the next thing and you're able to learn the next thing, and at some point it's going to happen so fast, and we have all this knowledge, and the more knowledge we get, the faster it's going to grow and the more we're going to know, right?
It increases super fast too. I mean, you have things like one of the things that he mentions in the video we're going to post is number one, you have so much saved time. Our time consumption in the past for doing basic things like, scrounging for food or building shelter and things.
Well, and now, I mean, you look at from a few hundred years ago when people were living in, cottages and
Yeah.
castles, and now they're living in houses. And instead of going out and everybody going out and hunting and gathering food,
Go to the
people, they go
grocery
to the
store.
grocery store.
10 minutes.
And
you know?
instead of taking a horse carriage or walking to another town, you hop in your car and you drive, or you get in a plane and fly across the country, and
Yeah.
you could be from
Efficiency.
West Coast to the East Coast in like just a few hours, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It boils down to efficiency.
What's your time worth, though? Like, what is, your human time worth?
Well, now it's worth way the fuck more. I mean, you look back. One of the things that he mentions is like
Is it worth
lamps,
more,
but, I mean,
or is it?
think of just building a home. How long would it take to build? And I've watched people build homes in the old-fashioned, and it
Oh, yeah.
can take weeks, months, even depending on how well you're doing the home. And there's lots of things that tie into that. Like how comfortable are you in your home and stuff that'll make you more efficient at and more productive. So
Well, you look at now, even, I mean, people, it's not even time, it's money, but people. So, for example, everybody's replacing their old light bulbs with LED light bulbs, right? And
Yeah.
that's to save a couple bucks on your electric bill.
it
But
don't
that
just save you
couple,
a couple bucks.
well, right?
It's insane.
Yeah,
too.
it saves a lot of money, but people are like, well, that's saving you money, not time. But the thing is you're working for that money, and you're spending your time on this life. Like, you spend 8 hours at work, for example, in a day, and that is 8 hours that you will never get back.
Yeah,
That's
true.
8 hours of your life you gave to have your house has a light, or you have heat, or you have food on the table, or I mean, you'll never get that time back, but you're trading that time in your life
Well, that's
that for goods to make
yeah.
your other time
More
better.
efficient. Yeah. Well, that's a great point because when you look at the amount of, like, let's say you make $1,000 in a week, and then you have to spend $500 on your electric bill, but then you switch to an LED system and you cut that electric bill to $250.
$500 for an electric
that.
bill? What are you
I
talking
know,
about?
right? Arbitrary numbers, but
Right,
it
I
makes
gotcha.
it simplified. That now you just saved yourself like a good quarter of that week that you were spending to make the money for that electric bill. Now that money is able to be put into something else. So that efficiency is huge, and that is going to just accelerate our ability to make bigger and better advancements. We can spend our money into something like, oh, I'm going to learn about this particular technology and do a new breakthrough. Breakthroughs become more and more consistent, and like one of the things that he doesn't mention it in that video, but I think it was on a Joe Rogan podcast. It might have been with like the Gertzel guy, or when they were talking about AI, and they mentioned the Singularity. One of the things that they didn't mention in that is the number of groundbreaking discoveries, Nobel Prize worthy discoveries throughout history as compared to now and compared to the future. one of the things that they mention is in the past, like over the last like from 1950 to 1980 or something, there was like 3 or 4 groundbreaking Nobel Prize winning discoveries that changed the world. And then after that, like from 1980 to 2000, there was like 15. And then from like 2000 to 2018, there was like 30. And it's crazy how our breakthroughs are becoming so much more. And that's all based on the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's really cool. But like, is there an end to what you can know? Like, does your brain does your brain have like a data cap?
Oh yeah. Well, that is something that they talk about too. Is the potential for exceeding that cap. Funny enough, Elon Musk, and I think you were digging that whole Neuralink.
Neuralink.
Yeah.
Well, there was a joke on the internet. There's a meme on the internet I saw. It kind of reminds me of, and it said if you could take one item from now and go in the past, and you had to explain what it was to somebody, and somebody said, "I'd take my phone. It's a device that contains access to the entire wealth of knowledge, but I use it to argue with strangers and look at pictures of cats."
That's so true. Look at how much access to knowledge we have just with our phones. Like, and imagine one of the things that they've been working on, and there's a lot of companies working on their own versions of this basic concept, is a neural lace, a link between the human brain and all of human discovery ever. Everything that's on the internet, and the ability to decipher it, like with infinite memory, infinite.
Is that point? At that point, would people still need to go to college? Would kids still need to go to school? But
think of it from the what is Matrix. I just watched all the Matrix movies.
I know Kung Fu.
I know, right? I know Kung Fu. Hey, can you pilot this helicopter?
I can now.
I can now. Bingo. That was such a badass scene, too. Oh, my God. So, basically, the idea is that, oh, yeah, no, that's actually a possibility in the future, and they're working on it currently.
Hold on, I need to download How to Be an Electrician.
I know, right? That would make it so much simpler.
Oh, yeah.
So, with the Neuralink, Elon Musk has one. I believe China's working on their own. Google is working on something.
Elon Musk is scary, like in a good way, because
he's such a badass.
He throws caution to the wind, but he's also like I don't feel like he's a bad guy.
No,
like he's just like mad scientist, kind of crazy. Like, let's invent all the things and see what the fuck happens. Like,
oh yeah. Well, honestly, I am super jealous of Joe Rogan, getting him on. I mean, hopefully we'll have some guest stars. Like Elon Musk would be a really cool one, talking to him about like how he started how he got involved in all these massive scientific.
I want to grow up and be a rocket scientist, and also have an electric car company, and also invent flamethrowers, and also invent the Neuralink. And
right, like, why did he choose to do such a broad range of stuff? I mean, he is hitting all these different companies, and I mean, even the stupid things. His business models are incredible. I mean, with the flamethrower thing, what is that website that he started called?
It's the Boring Company.
Yeah, the Boring Company.
Yeah.
Well, they started out like selling hats or something.
Yeah.
And they said, we're only going to offer, this many hats. Sold out in just stupid stuff
I feel like Cards
that.
Against Humanity took a page out of Elon Musk's sales strategy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, I remember one year for Black Friday, they said, we're selling bullshit. And they literally took a piece of bullshit, shrink wrapped it, put it in a nice looking box, and people bought it for $10, and they sold out like instantly.
No way! That is awesome. I didn't know that. That's so fucking funny. That would actually be. Maybe we should do that for one of our items to sell.
Bullshit?
Yeah, let's just figure something out. So Montana made deer shit.
As long as you go collect it.
Yeah. Who's gonna be the one to actually collect it? I don't know if I want to do that job. Sorry, Chris.
We'll hire somebody. We
I'll
need
kill
your
the deer,
support
though.
on Patreon to collect your shit, please. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
So it brings us to okay.
Yeah, actually, that's perfect lead into crowdfunding.
Yeah, so we all think of crowdfunding, GoFundMe and Indiegogo and Patreon and oh God, there's a ton of them out there.
No,
Facebook
nowadays.
even does it through Facebook now.
Yeah, so like with crowdfunding and stuff, people have access better than ever before in history to getting the funding that they truly need for doing big research projects. I mean,
People throw an idea they put it on the internet and they say, "Hey, if you believe in this idea, throw me a few bucks." And people do it, and it's crazy because 50 years ago, before the internet and everything was so widely available, you actually had to go out, and if you had an idea, you had to go find big people in that industry, and it was way more expensive than it is now. Like, there was a thing on that video that said to start up an a technology startup was probably in the 90s. It was like $5 million because you had to buy all the servers and the equipment and the people that knew what they were doing. And now, I mean, we started a podcast.
Yeah, already, and we're able to get crowdfunding and whatnot if we really pushed this. I mean, we're bringing up ideas that I bet not many people on here that are going to listen to this podcast have ever heard of the technological singularity. We're broadening knowledge. I mean, just this right here, which actually perfectly leads into communication. But we're able to get the funding that we need to provide people with information that they just wouldn't have had before, or actually do big breakthroughs. One of the things that is absolutely insane is what was it, 1978, the cost of a phone call from America to India,
$10.
yeah, it was $10 per minute. Now it's less than a penny.
Yeah,
what?
That's crazy.
What a huge the efficiency just compounds.
Do you realize how expansive our communications infrastructure is? Like the amount of towers and lines and the amount of satellites in the atmosphere, and it's
only going to get more.
Insane, and it's only going to get more. Like, you'll be lucky if you're able to see the stars at night because you're just going to see satellites everywhere.
Think of 5G.
Oh, dude, well, 5G is all towers.
That's going to be all towers, but then afterwards,
it does get this signal from
5G is the next step.
5G. It's super, super, super exciting and awesome, but at the same time, it's kind of freaky because, we're naturally afraid of change and afraid of new things.
Oh yeah.
But the 5G, it's instant. Like the transmission of data is instant. There's no lag. There's no ping. What is it? Zero millisecond ping. It's gonna be great for gaming.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think one of the big things for 5G is it increases the band that is utilized, the megahertz.
It's a lower frequency, but it's
wider.
It's wider, but they need more towers because of it.
But lower frequency.
The main reason
hits stuff worse
that they're pushing 5G so hard right now is for self-driving cars, because self-driving cars you cannot have lag time. It has to be instant. True. And that's the big reason they're pushing it. And but a lot of people say that there's a lot of downside to 5G, that a lot of people, there's conspiracy theories out there too, but
there's
steering away, that'll be another episode, conspiracy theories. But are those waves that are being put out there, are they healthy for you? But you got to think,
know they're not somewhat.
Everybody has their cell phone on them.
I know.
I don't know anybody who doesn't at least have a cell phone.
That's true.
There's people that use them more than others, don't get me wrong, and there's still people with dumb phones out there.
Yeah.
But you put that right up to your ear every time.
True.
And what kind of energy is that putting through your head?
Yeah, the radiation is definitely not.
The thing is that wasn't around 20 years ago, right? So we don't have a group of people to study to see the long-term effects
Ooh,
of
that's a
cell
good
phone
point.
use. We are that test subject. We're that
Yeah.
test group.
And we're seeing some negatives, but we're also seeing so many positives that I think it's worth the potential negatives that do come about.
Well, that's I think that is definitely true to an extent, but I think the one thing I don't like, and this is the libertarian in me, and it's kind of like the fluoride in the water thing. Like whether you're for or against fluoride in the water is one thing, but
now you don't have a choice.
But some people don't have a choice. Like that's forceful medication.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the 5G thing is you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean you everywhere you go, there's waves in the air. There's radio waves. There's cell towers everywhere.
That's a good point.
You walk in the grocery store around other people, they have cell phones. I mean, like, are they forcing us to be susceptible to that type of radiation or radio waves or
kind
whatever?
of? I mean, honestly, kind of.
Now, is that basis for any type of action? Like,
you could fight it through,
it would be interesting to see. That would be interesting to see go to the Supreme Court just to see what would happen.
Oh yeah,
like suing Verizon for putting towers everywhere and having these waves affect my body. Like,
guaranteed it's gonna happen. I mean, hasn't there been a bunch of
hardly adult sues Verizon?
Yeah, right.
Publicity.
We got radiation and now we got cancer. That would suck.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, honestly, I think the benefits outweigh the negatives in the sense that, I mean, think of how many
That's
human
you
lives.
hoping that they can come up with a way to it's like take this pill and
now you don't have the issues.
And now you don't have any of the issues. You're immune to radiation.
Hey, that's actually one of the things, though, when you run into an obstacle like this, it actually forces ingenuity oftentimes.
But don't you think they should come out with the problem, or the solution before they come out with the problem?
Yeah, but then you're right back to the point of we didn't have anybody to study and know what these issues are. I mean,
right.
how do you put out a solution to an issue that you can't study yet?
Right.
So, I mean, you got to have the problem first and then come up with a solution as of now, but eventually we're going to have predictive AI that will be able to account for all the possible directions that these issues could come from and come up with those solutions. So having that faster speed, all that will possibly be the solution. Funny enough.
Oh,
Isn't that crazy?
But here's the thing, though, is with the advent of all this technology, what about the people who don't want anything to do with it? There's people that want to be off the grid, and
I know. My dad's
there's
kind
people.
of that way.
I'm kind of that way, really. Except I'm not. I love my smartphone. Don't get me wrong.
I can't live without
just
it.
kidding, Google. I still love you.
Yeah, you better like say, oh, please don't.
I'm sorry. I'll pray to the
Don't
Google
hate.
gods. And,
No hate on the smartphones.
watch my phone just like start smoking and self-destructs. No.
Yeah, true.
No, but like there are people out there that they don't want their bodies affected, regardless of if there's a solution to it, or they don't want the information out there. Like I was doing
hard-headed sons of bitches.
a while ago I was doing like the ancestry.com, but like their family tree search history, and you put in your name and you put in your parents' names, and then but like the amount of public records that are out there like is just insane. So like with that the Neuralink, for example, like from Elon Musk, you walk around and say, you walk and I meet Mike for the first time, and all of a sudden it's like all the information about Mike's entire life just pops up, and it's like red flags. Mike's a weirdo.
Oh my God! Avoid this guy. I mean, he might be a crazy.
It's like cool, and it pops up. Bing. This guy's cool. Like
There's actually a trippy video on YouTube that's like old.
Can AI predict somebody's personality or like what they're going to do in the future? It's like that movie with Tom Cruise.
Dude, yeah, what was that called?
Minority Report.
Oh,
Where they arrested people for stuff they did in the future that they hadn't done yet.
God, that was such a good movie.
Is that going to be a thing, though? Like, that's creepy. I don't like that because I think about things all the time that could probably, like...
Yeah, now you're
know?
incriminated because you thought it,
The thought police.
But there's got to be solutions. I mean, and that's one of the great things about technology is it does often come up with solutions for things like this. But they're already doing predictive AI predictions on how people interact and what they're gonna. I mean, look at marketing. Marketing is a perfect example. Look at Facebook. Facebook is utilizing. They utilized all sorts of AI predictions for tons of these.
If you ever go into like a big casino, like a Vegas style casino, or like on the big ones on the Indian reservations, they have certain colors elicit certain responses in your brain. Like blue and green, like are supposed to make you excited and stuff. That's why when you win, even though you're not winning, even though if you win, like you bet 50 cents, but you won 10 cents, like it'll be like bling bling bling, and it'll flash blue and green, and it makes you excited.
That's a good
you're
thing.
like, I won. Yeah, keep going, put more money in.
Dopamine release.
Yeah, exactly. Red is you take that as a negative thing typically. It's a warning thing. And like there's other things too. Like you go into a grocery store and they say 90% of the people when they walk into a grocery store, they go to the right and then they go around the edge. That's why they place things in certain places in a grocery store. Like they have certain people that do that go around, like Walmart's, for example. And they put things in certain places because they know that human like you're more likely to look at this one spot the first thing as you walk through the door, so they put this stuff they want to sell right there.
That's crazy, dude. It's funny that you bring that up because they're actually utilizing some crazy stuff for marketing when it comes to like billboards. One of the things that they're working on right now is they're counting hits on billboards by actually looking at where human eyes look at. So if they notice that your eyes look at a billboard, they count it as a hit.
That's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
When I went to school for website development, they actually talked about that too, about how websites are designed. They say that the first thing you do, you look at the top center. Right? Yeah. When you look at a website, because they studied a lot of people and where their eyes tracked when they look at a website. So now they know how to design websites more efficiently to where people will look first. Because when you look at a website, even though there's a ton of information on that one page, you don't read it from top down, left, right.
Yeah.
You look at big bold thing on the top, and then you kind of go pictures, whatever, and then you go back through and look at the stuff.
That's true.
So they put all the stuff to kind of grab you in those certain spots.
They even do that with Facebook is a good example for some of that stuff. In fact, it was a guy, he did a bunch of work for casinos. And he was talking about how he came up with the idea for it. The slot machines, when they're rolling all the they always have all the numbers rolling and symbols rolling. It's the same basic concept. It's a slight dopamine release when that occurs.
Oh, and I'm guilty of it. I love the casino too. It's fun.
The funny thing is they use it for Facebook. When you scroll down and hit that refresh area, they could just have it hit a button and then nothing happens until it's able to load, and then blink pops up on the screen.
But now they
doesn't elicit the response.
The little spinny bar.
Yeah.
And then it's bam, new information. You're like, what did my friend post now? Or what?
Exactly.
Oh,
and that is that little bit of a dopamine hit, and they're using AI to gather this information so much more efficient than they ever could before. So, really, the AI is going to be such a big one. And 5G is just going to make all of that shit so much faster. But also,
do you remember back when 3G was thing, or even before 3G? And then 3G came out, and everybody was like, holy shit, this is so fast. And then 4G came out, and people were like, ugh.
Now think with 5G coming out, and then shortly after, SpaceX is working on their the satellites, the drones that are going to be high-speed internet across the whole globe.
Dude, that'll be cool.
As far as its its implications.
More
for,
people will
right?
be able to listen to our podcast. Think
Right.
everybody around the world will be able to listen to Hardly Adults. It's going to be incredible.
We're gonna
As
have
Trump says, it's going to bigly.
4.2 more billion people listening to Hardly Adults. That's gonna be awesome. Yeah. Hopefully we can spread that far.
Yes. No, we will. With all your help. Bigly. It's a bigly.
It's gonna be huge.
It's going to be huge.
So that's actually kind of a good point with SpaceX, though, is you're bringing in I think the statistic was that it's going to be 4.2 billion minds that were not able to access all the knowledge that is available on the internet. And there's so much. Now they have all that access. How many geniuses, how many entrepreneurs are going to become, are going to have access now to those skills that they have? They just
they say 80% of the internet is porn, though, right?
That is true. So you only have 20%, and then the rest of the 80 are going to be just, jacking it.
Dude, do you remember, what was that website that came out? Oh, Chat Roulette.
Oh, God. How many people did you have to scroll through?
How many dicks do you got to scroll through to get to one person that'll actually talk to you?
Yes. Oh, my God.
That was awful.
That was hilarious. That was what was that episode?
It was
that
a South Park.
Yeah.
But that Chat Roulette was a thing, though.
I know. So,
you got to wade through the dicks to find a friend.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of dicks out there.
Dude, that was a scary fucking website.
You were talking about 3G back in the day and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like, man, think of kids back then, and then think of kids growing up.
I remember
now.
I went over to my aunt's house and and she and my uncle, they had this huge collection of Playboy magazines.
Oh,
and
God.
they tried sending me home with one time, and my mom lost her shit, right? But that was it. Like, they're like, oh, he doesn't have that. Like, that's that. But now the kids are growing up and they have the internet. Like, you're not gonna stop a kid from getting on the internet. Like,
no. They can get there at school, or at the library, or on their phones. If you ever give your kid a phone, I mean, they have access to almost everything.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. I have a 6-year-old, and he's gonna grow up and he's gonna know the internet. But God, it's almost terrifying at the same time.
Back in the day, it used to be a thing of, it was difficult to, get through like child blockers and stuff like that. You had to figure out the passwords. Now kids are going to be so good at, because they're growing up with it, they're going to be coding themselves. I mean, that's something that
Mommy,
I always
made
see
an app.
promotions for it.
Their 6-year-old, Mom, I made an app today.
Straight the fuck up. I mean, that is a serious potential right there. Yeah. So, I mean,
I remember when apps first started coming out. Like, when that was first starting to be a thing, I was like, this is dumb.
So
like, this is so stupid. Like, who needs apps?
Like, and now everybody
and now it's like there's an app for that.
100 of them on your phone.
Yeah. Swipe. And there's an app for that. Damn. There's an app for that. Dude, there's literally an app for everything. Like, we started keto, and like there's an app carb manager. You put in your food, tells you how many carbs are there. And it's like, there's an app for literally everything.
Have you seen the video where it's talking about how kids in 2040 are going to talk about their parents meeting?
Oh my God. They met in person.
Met on Tinder. And now in 2040 it's going to be, they met on Tinder. Now, me and this girl, I saw her beautiful face, and I instantly knew that she was the one, so I swiped right. Oh, what? No. Oh, my God. That's going to be... But the implications of kids having access to all that knowledge, you're just accelerating the gain of technology because kids have access to this stuff. I mean, honestly, everything is pointing to this singularity being the truth, being a real thing.
Here's the thing, though, is if, say 20, 30 years from now, and when all this technology is available, are kids going to be going to school? Are you going to need to go to college? Are you even going to need to go to work to an extent, really?
I mean, well, that goes down to the money thing. I mean, number one, right now, monetization is huge, but everything is becoming more efficient when it comes to the amount of money used for all these things. Although people say, oh, fuck rich people, I hate rich people, but the fact is like a good example of it is the Masayoshi-san, I believe was.
Masayoshi-san.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's the SoftBank CEO. He is talking about. He announced that he's going to do $880 billion into all these vision funds, which
That's
is just
awesome.
funds for massive technological advancements and research into those technological advancements. If we didn't have someone with that kind of capital to invest, how would that kind of stuff ever happen? It wouldn't.
Or would it though? Like,
People
'cause
say,
there's people out there that want to create, but
I
if
know,
they have
but
access to the ability to do it,
yeah,
give them
but
the resources.
yeah, but the only way to get those resources as of now is to have the funds. You
That's
have to have the
true.
funds to make those things. And so, like, people say, oh, everybody should be making the exact same amount of money. Now you don't have people to invest 880 billion because nobody's going to have 880 billion to invest in that thing. They're
Yeah,
all just
I get it's in
making
my second bank account.
yeah, right. I don't know. Personally, I feel like, having that kind of capital under one person who's going to go, yes, this guy or this research needs to be done. I'm investing in it. Now they have the money to actually invest in those things.
So, say all this happens, and we're in the future. We're 30 years in the future, and we've hit that technological singularity. Is money even going to be a thing anymore? Is it going to be needed? Like,
At
what's
some
going to
point,
be the
no.
point, though, of it?
At some point, no.
You think
it
so?
won't. I believe. Well, Sean
Like-
Carroll and Joe Rogan touch on some of this stuff, and whether or not there will be a need for. At some point, there will not be. I mean, once you have the fluid running machine that provides everything for humans, there will be no need for anybody to work. But what are humans going to do at that point? Is what a lot of
Well,
people
yeah,
say.
you look. There's people that that retire and then get bored and they go back to work. You know,
Fuck, sit on my
Like,
ass and play video games. Like
dude, you
virtual reality.
imagine the video games.
Oh my god, dude, so advanced.
Could you imagine? So there's a TV show on Netflix, a TV series. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's where people their bodies, they call them skins, but like their consciousness and their brain and their personality and everything is it's like a computer chip in the back of their head. So you imagine, like, what if we get to a point where our bodies die, but our consciousness lives on through technology into like a virtual reality world?
Yeah. Well, the scary
That's
thing about
Matrix.
that, though, is what is consciousness then? And that's a hell of a podcast right there.
Oh, what is consciousness and what's your personality consist of? And
One of the things that a lot of people believe, especially now, is consciousness is just the stew of chemicals and memories that you have as of current that dictate what your body is going to do next. I mean, if you stop running, like if you die, like somebody dies,
right.
and then they are brought back, resuscitated, and come back to life. Their brain has fully shut down, and then all of a sudden they're resuscitated and come back to life. They feel like they're the same person. They do the same. I mean, imagine if you could copy an exact copy of yourself and make an exact body of yourself right now,
Like
with
same
all the
exact
same memories
physical,
and everything,
right.
all the same chemical stew in every single way. Perfect copy of you, and set it right beside you. That person would feel like, oh, I'm Chris Cochran,
Mhm.
Like,
Well, here's a
so
something.
how do you transfer that?
Well, so
think it's possible.
they say that they already have the ability for teleportation, right? To transport from point A to point B,
Yeah.
right? But they haven't been able to do it with people, or they don't
Large
think they
scale.
can do it with people because they can they transport your physical being, but not your consciousness, because what is that? Like your brain synapses and your can you transfer what's not, it's there but it's not really there.
See, I don't know if there's anything like that. That's one of the things that they're wondering now is there anything that actually dictates a a difference between just that chemical stew and a human being with their own consciousness, like, oh, I am this person, like the Chappie thing. Chappie, that movie.
That was actually a
Dude,
decent
that
movie.
was oh yeah. those freakazoids from South Africa though. The what's that band? That's the there's a band in that, and listen to some of their music. It is wild, dude. It's so weird. But when they transfer his consciousness into the robot, is that really him anymore? It's not really. It's just
debatable,
the
though.
transfer of his memories and all that stuff, because it would feel like him. But
is it?
Is
but
it
what is you though? Like,
I know.
what makes you you?
Well, one of the things that they say is that you're not actually you every second.
That's
like,
true. I believe that.
The most minute amount, whatever the smallest measurement of time passing is.
So you look at
that point is a different you every single.
So then, what about people with like schizophrenia, where their brain is actually like deteriorating? And there's people that.
That's actually kind of a good example.
Well, you look at people that, I mean, they legitimately believe, that they are seeing and hearing things, the hallucinations or the delusions, but to them, that person that they're talking to, that's in, in reality, it's in their head, but to them, it's just as real as, me and you sitting here talking.
That's true. But then that's
their brain, though. That's their person.
That's a chemical imbalance. We
that's
can
not
look
true.
at a lot
Schizophrenia is not. It's not quite how it works, but yeah.
Well, I'm sure that it's way deeper than that.
Yeah.
You can't just say it's a chemical imbalance, but there is that side of it. It is oftentimes based around some sort of traumatic event or something that happens that makes some sort of function in your brain not work properly.
Yep.
But once you take that away, now they act like a different person and stuff.
So
is it really that same person now? It's not.
If you grow up, because you won't get schizophrenia, most likely until you're males between 18 and 25.
Yeah.
There's certain age points where they have to hit to where schizophrenia can be triggered. But the thing is, so if you grow up and you're just an average kid growing up, and then you go off and you do a bunch of drugs for a week and you come back, and I mean that triggered something. You got schizophrenia now, and then say 20 years later they come out with a cure, right?
Yeah.
And now you're fine again, and it's not just like being medicated, because that's different, I think. But like, say it's a legit cure, right?
Yeah.
You no longer have schizophrenia. So what is really you? Is it the you that grew up, or is it the you that was schizophrenic for 20 years?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's one of the crazy things. Which one's really you? Because people often say, well, I feel like a totally different person. Or even the people that talk to them and are around them, they're like, oh, they changed so much. They're a totally different person. Because they kind of are.
Yeah.
They really ultimately are,
So
because it's that change in your consciousness. Consciousness it's just a word that we put to all the different memories and all the different, that chemical stew that is your brain and your human biology. Hell, the bacteria in your gut biome change how you behave and who you are as a person massively. So really, we're just this ecosystem, essentially, of
we are disgusting.
Yeah, we are just a disgusting ass pile of flesh and
meat and
bacteria and water and
DNA
that makes that is consciousness. That alone is consciousness. And as soon as you strip anything away from that, or
so you think
add
you
to
have
it,
to
you're
reach
changing
that
the
point to be
consciousness.
conscious?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that I believe that there's different varying levels of what is considered consciousness too. I mean, one of the things that people say that is consciousness is your self-awareness. But I think self-awareness is kind of its own separate thing.
Skynet has become self-aware.
Right? Oh God, that would, dude. That's terrifying thought. if
Well, yeah,
AI became self-aware in a way that it was like able to make its own decisions based on its own.
Well, if we say we get to a point where AI is basically supporting humans, it's supporting the human race, right?
What would keep it from snuffing us?
Well, yeah, because what if AI gets to the point and says, "Fucking humans suck. They're just draining our resources. We could be way more efficient without them," and they're gone.
Who was it? Somebody
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
There was a scientist, might have been an evolutionary biologist I was listening to the other day that was saying without the biological side of humans, you wouldn't have consciousness. Without the biological side of they were saying that it is impossible to have technology become self-aware consciousness in the way that we think of humans being that, because it just isn't possible with us as human beings, having our biological sides. I mean, think of all the different feelings that we have that dictate, oh, he's so passionate. Well, why is he passionate? It comes from all this long line of evolutionary situations that have created our bit of consciousness,
Yeah. Oh, man, we can go on about what makes a person for a long time.
That's a whole nother.
I want to hear what everybody else has to say.
Man, there's still so much to touch on with the technological singularity, and I told everybody we would be going on so many tangents when we were doing the initial announcement trailer. We're just going to be hitting so many tangents.
Oh, yeah.
We have
so
gone
many tangents.
off topic so much.
So, this is definitely going to be a 2-part episode. Because there's so much more we got to talk about. We're almost at an hour in this one, and but we want to hear what everybody else has to say as part of this too. So
we wanted to keep these at 45 minutes, but that's hard to do with us,
Yes, but I mean, we still got a lot to talk about, just general technology, like what people are going to use, how is it going to impact food and hunger around the world, the military, the medical repercussions. That's going to be a ton in its own. What's going to be the purpose? What are going to be people's purpose in life if if technology takes over? What about money, like cryptocurrency? Is that the future?
We'll talk about more like possible technological breakthroughs, that might come about because of such a singularity. What are some of the functions of other technologies that may exist and whatnot? So this is actually a great point for feedback,
Yes, we want your emails and we want your feedback. And what do you think about this topic? What do you think about the technological singularity? Is it going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a bad thing? We are going to continue this on part 2, which will be our 3rd episode. So. Stay tuned. Share the fuck out of this episode because we want to get out there.
And tell us some things that you want us to elaborate on that we've already mentioned,
Yeah, we can talk about all kinds of stuff. We should have an episode every few weeks where it's literally just answering questions from people.
It's a good idea.
So don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/hardlyadults. We're going to be on YouTube, and you can email us at hardlyadultspodcast@gmail.com. We're also going to be on Patreon pretty soon. We want your support there. Just hit that share button a million times. Share it all over. Share it in every group you're in, on the pages, on your personal things. Share it to your friends. Talk about us, how awesome we are, because we're awesome.
The more people, the better the podcast.
Oh, just saying. Definitely. So, all right, this ends part 1 of Technological Singularity, and then we'll hit off part 2 in a few days.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys.
Later.